is Bonnie from Bonnie's Creative Place, and this month for our Creative Cardiology team's tutorials that I give out and everything, this is the card that I wanted to make. But because there is so many little tips and tricks and things that you have to create with this card, I decided that I was going to do a video and add to it in the description to check this video out. So I first want to show you how this card works. You send this to recipient, it says pull here. So you pull this out and just watch. It creates this cute little, pop-up on the card. It is so cute. You can leave it like that. Another one I've gone and had it so this stays up a little bit more, so it's like that. But yeah, so I want to show you how I created this card. So, and it goes right back in, and you can put it in our standard envelope and you can mail it. So let's get started on this card. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you as I go the measurements for stuff, and I have little things on here. But if you go over to my blog, the link will be in the description box below. There will be a project sheet that you can print out that will have all of these measurements on there. And if you are in order from me at all during the month of January, you will get this, or February, you will get this tutorial for free. So let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to do all your stamping first. So I have 3 pieces here of Whisper White, and then I have some scraps because you're going to need some scraps. And we're going to do our stamping first. This first one is marked 3 5/8 by 3 1/4. Now there's some other pieces that I'll tell you about, but I want to tell you why I have a little T up here on the top. Is because when we line this up on this piece right here, the white piece is going to go all the way to the bottom of this, so we have just a little border. So I recommend that you check your white piece when you cut it and make sure that it fits all around this petal pink piece that we have, and it's the one that is a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and you want to make sure that it fits around it. And the taller end that's up here, mark a T for top, because if you notice, if we put it this way, it's no border here and none here. So if you just happen to stamp it the wrong way, it's not going to fit right. So you just want to make sure that you are putting the T at the top. So the one that is going to have the T at the top, if you just want to measure it, is the 3 1/2. So the 3 1/2 inch side, you want to put T, and you want to have that at the top. And that is for when we get ready to that part. So like I said, these are going to be listed, so I'm just going to kind of go through them quickly. You need a piece of Whisper White that is 3 5/8 by 3 1/2. You need another one that is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, and you need another one that is 2 1/2 by 4 3/4. And this is actually to stamp the mailbox on. And then you need some scraps for some other stamping that we'll be doing. So let's first start off with this piece. And I'm going to bring it in so you can see what stamping, and that's this piece right here. Okay? Don't mind this piece of paper that I have on here. There's a glare when I do my videos. I don't have this on here all the time, but when I do my videos, I have this down to prevent the glare. It's a piece of vellum. So, okay, we're going to do our stamping. So I'm going to take the wave that's in the stamp set is called Sending Loves. So this is the bundle that we're using. I should have mentioned that in the beginning. It's called Sending Loves. We're going to be using the dies and the stamp set. And so in here, there's like this post-it note waves that you get when you stamp on it. We're going to be stamping that. And I'm going to get out the smoky slate. And I need a scrap piece of paper here. Ooh, this is a well-loved one. and I'm going to stamp it in the smoky slate. I'm going to stamp off on my scrap paper, and then, I don't know, kind of towards the top, but not all the way up, I'm going to stamp that wave down. Okay, we're done with that for a minute. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in the one that says, the stamp set that is round right here, and it says, I miss you, or I miss you, and then it says sending a little love. Well, we are going to take our Stampin' Write markers. Now, I still have the older version, but if you have the newer version, they have a different tip on the ends than the ones I have right now. So we're going to use the brush tipped ends on these, and we are going to go ahead and we're going to go around the outside of all the words that says sending a little note to say, is what it says. And I'm just going over top of these. I think you've seen me probably do these in some of my other videos. And then you're going to take the Real Red, and we are only going to do the I and the U. We're not going to do the miss you, or miss. That's one we're not going to do. Now, if you took a little while to do that, you want to give it a huff. You're just huffing over top of it with your breath, and that kind of gets the inks wet a little bit again. Sometimes if you take a long time in doing coloring like that, that happens. Just give it a minute to absorb to your paper, just like that. Now we have this, okay? Now we're going to set this off to the side, and we're going to be done with this for a minute. So we're just going to set that over there. Now we're going to bring in this other piece of Whisper White. I'm going to pop this open so you could see what I'm stamping. And I'm going to be stamping this inside panel. So again, I told you the sizes of this already, so I'm going to move that piece out of the way. And here now we are going to take, and I got to clean this one off because I did not do that earlier. So let me clean it. There we go. And now we're going to take Real Red, and we are going to go ahead and we're going to stamp this time in Real Red. And we're going to stamp it up towards the top, just like so. Then, while we have our Real Red out, we're going to take the little stripes that are in the stamp set. That's right here, the little dash stamp set. We're going to take that and we're going to ink this up in the Real Red. And I'm going to say about, I don't know, 3/4 of it the way up. You can use your grid paper or your glass mat or whatever you're using, and you're just going to stamp down and up like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean up my mess here because we don't want this ink to spread on our projects. And I just have like a dry cloth quickly drying. All right, now we are going to take the stamp, the other circle stamp with the little hearts that says sent with love. And I'm just going to stamp this one up in the black Memento ink. And I'm going to stamp this one right in the center. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in the Real Red blend for this one. And I'm just going to color in these hearts. Okay, so it looks just like that. All right, and I'm going to add the pole in the arrow after because I got to punch a hole down here, but we're not doing that until we place this on the card. Okay, so that piece is done for now. Now we're going to bring in this piece here, And this is the one that we're going to stamp the mailbox on. I am done with the Real Red. I'm done with, no I'm not. I'm not done with the Real Red, but I'm done with the Smoky Slate. Okay. I got one more thing to do with the Real Red. So now we are bringing in the mailbox stamp. We're going to stamp this up very good with the black ink. Okay. And then I'm going to stamp this right on this piece of paper. I don't care if all my flowers at the bottom, the grass at the bottom is not on the page, or if that it shows, because we're going to be cutting some of that off anyways. So here we have that. We're going to color that in a minute, so we'll set that aside. And then we have our scrap pieces here. Now I am going to take the little envelope that is in this stamp set, and I'm going to stamp out 8 of these, right? 3, 6, 7, 8, yep. Now, if you're going to use the die cutting, the die that goes with this, then you definitely want to spread them out a little bit. But if you're going to fussy cut them like I did, because they're so simple to fussy cut, then you definitely do not need to have them on, what do you call it? Yeah. You don't have to have them, you know, far apart. That might even be far enough apart right there to die cut them. But I thought it was just easier to cut them out by hand. So that's what I did. Now the last thing we need to stamp is this, I should bring my mat in here. Yeah. Is this word love. So we're just basically, you might get some other inks on the other ones, but basically I just want the word love inked up in red. That's all I want. And then I'm going to place this right on my scrap piece of paper. You could have probably fit it on this one too, up there in the corner or down there. I just put it on here. So we have that. So now, let's see if I put this piece here. There, maybe it won't move as much now. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to color our mailbox in. So I kept this very simple. I will probably definitely fast forward this, but I will tell you the colors in the beginning that I used, so you will know what I used. So I used Real Red for the mailbox. Then I ended up using bronzer for the mailbox post. I ended up using the Gray Granite Dark for the flag. And then I ended up using the Real Red, the Petal Pink, and the Pool Party for my envelopes. And I left 2 envelopes white. So let's get stamping or coloring these, and I will definitely fast forward this for you. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to do some die cutting. You're going to need the mailbox die cut, and you're going to need a piece of lemon lime twist and it's 1 inch by 4.5. Put these over here out of the way. Get our plates out. Create your sandwich. And now when you put the green one on there, kind of go up a little bit so that you have like, I don't know, about a 1/4 inch on the bottom. And then you're just going to use your tape to help hold it down in place. Now with this one, you're going to have to take your scissors and you're going to have to snip it and snip it at the end. We will be trimming this a little bit also. Okay, so we have that piece. And then we've got our die-cutted mailbox here. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we're going to get to the actual building of the card. Now we got all our prep work done. We're going to start building our card. You need to take a piece of Whisper White. I'm going to get this card out of the way for right now. We're going to take a piece of Whisper White thick. This is Basic White Thick. Actually, it's not called Whisper White. It's called Basic White Thick, and it is 5 1/4 by 9 5/8. Okay, and you're going to take it and you're going to score on the 5 1/2 or 5 1/4 inch side. We're going to score at 3/8, which 3/8 is if you go to the half mark and then you go back 2 ticks, so back 1, 2, and you're going to score. Okay, so we're going to score. Then you're going to go over to the 2 1/2 inch mark, and you're going to score. Okay, then we're going to flip it around and we're going to do the same thing. So 1/2 inch, go back 2 tick marks, and that gives you your 3/8 of an inch. Then score, then scoot over to your 1/2 inch mark and score. All right. Now we're going to turn it the long ways, and we're going to score at 5 1/2. So 5 1/2. We're going to score. And then we are scooting over to 5/8, which is 2 tick marks after the half. So 1, 2. And then we're going to score. So now when you're looking at this, you can see that there is a smaller section and a bigger section. I want you to take your pencil and I want you to write a T on it. That means that's your top of your base when you're working on this, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out some sections. So let's get the cutter back out. You can either do this with scissors or you can do it with the cutting machine. I find it's nicer and it gives it a better look if you use the cutting machine, but if you can't do that, you know, by all means, use your scissors. Now we have 2 score marks here. Going from the bottom up, you want to go onto the 1/2 inch score line that we marked, and we're going to cut all the way up to that second score line that we did. So I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up. Let me see if I can get a pencil here. So this is our score line 1, and then there's a score line right above it. We're going to cut all the way up to that. I think the camera is picking it up. Okay, so we're going to put it back in. And we're going to put it back in at our 1/2 inch mark. And we are going to take and we're going to cut up to that mark, which is, you got 5 1/2 and you're about 2 tick marks past if you're using the grid and the little arrow on the side of the cutter. So you can come all the way up, and I would rather cut it a little short which is 9 times out of 10 what I do, and then I use my scissors. So you're coming all the way up and then come back down. And then we're going to come on here and we're going to cut right on that score line over. And see, I'm a tad bit short, but that's okay. I'd rather be a tad short than a over. All right, now we're going to flip it around and we're going to do the same thing. But this time we're going to start up here, or you can start at this end, which might be better. You got it on the 1/2 inch mark. Make sure it's on the 1/2 inch, yep. And we're going to score all the way down. Now this time it ends at the 4. But you can see right here where the score mark is. You might not be able to see up there, but you could see down here. And so if you just scoot along until there's a little arrow on the side of this, and if you scoot along till you are lined up with that line across, then you know you've gone far enough. And then we'll take it right off. And then we'll come over here and we will just snip up and over. So now we have that. So now we're going to come up here to the top, and just from the first score mark to the corner, we're just going to give it a little snip, kind of like that. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just eyeballing them. There's no right or wrong amount, just to give it a little angle cut there. Okay, and then we're going to set this aside for a minute, because we're going to get everything prepped that we need to prep. Okay, now we have some real red pieces, and one is 5.5 by 4, and the other one is 4 by 4 3/4. We do not have to do anything to these two pieces. Okay, so we can set them aside. Now we have a lot of pieces here that are petal pink. The 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, we're not going to do anything to that piece, so we can set that aside. Then we have one that is 1.5 by 3 3/4. We got a lot of scoring to do to that one. And then we have the 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. We have to score this one. And then we have one that is 3 1/4 by 4 by 5.5, and we have to score on this one. So what you want to do is with this one here, you want to take it and put it in on the long side. So you got the long side here. You want to come up to your 1/2 inch mark and you want to score it. Just like so. Now we'll put that aside. We're done with that. Now we're going to bring this one in, the 3 3/4 by 4 1/4, and on the longer side, so it's on the 4 1/4 inch side, we're going to go over to the 1/2 inch and we are going to score it. It doesn't matter which end, just pick an end, but we have to score it. Now set that aside. Now for this one here, this is the 1.5 by 3 1/4. I'm going to use this end of the mat so you guys can see. Maybe I have to be able to see the numbers. There, this is better. It's in here. Okay, so we are going to score, first of all, at 7/16. I know that is a weird number, but if you go to the 1/2 inch mark and you scoot over 1 tick mark on here, scoot back 1 tick mark. So we got the 1/2 inch mark and we want to go back 1 tick mark, okay? And we want to score it. And then we need to go over to the 1/2 inch tick mark. So we're going to go over to the 1/2 inch and we're going to score it. It's a very little piece that's the score mark there, and you need it, and I'll show you why. Then we are going to flip it around and we're going to score, oops, wait, not yet. Okay, we're here at the 1/2 inch like this. Then we're going to bring it over to the 1 inch and we're going to score it. So we have 7/16, 1/2 inch, and then 1 inch on one side. Now we're going to flip it around and we're going to score it at a 1/2 inch on the other end. All right, now this is our mechanism. We're not done with it yet. What you need to do now is bring in your scoreboard. You can use a ruler. You could use that right there if you want, your trimmer, if you don't want to. But I find it easier to use your Simply Score. So we're going to put this in here, and we're just going to score every mark from the 1/2 inch one that we have right here. We're going to score all the way over till we come to that one that we did 1.5, and we're going to go down every score mark. So I'm just going down every single 1/8 of a mark. It doesn't have to be precise. It can be off a little, but I just find it's easier if you just do this. What we're doing is we're breaking up the fibers in the paper, and this just makes it so your paper is more pliable. Okay, so now we are done with the scorer. And this card is not hard. It's just got a few steps in it. And once you get the steps down, you're good. So now to help also break it down, I score back my 1 inch so I know where it is. And then I'm just going to go like this. And it gives it that little twist and flare because we want to break down. See how flimsy it is? That's what we want. We want this flimsiness in that section of the paper. So now we'll set that aside till it's time to use it. Some other pieces that we need are 2 sheets of Designer Series paper that are 3.5 by 3.5. Then we have to have 1 sheet that is 1 by 3.5. And then we need 1 sheet that is 1 3/4 or 1/2 inch by 3 3/4. A 1/2 inch by 3 3/4. And we need this piece here. Now I'll tell you as we're building it, you don't have to have this piece if you make another piece longer, but I didn't want to screw everybody up till I got there. So I'll explain it when I get there. So we're going to leave that. And then you need 1 die cutted out cute little bee from the Be Mine stamp or image, whatever you decide to put on your card. Then we need 3 pieces of, it doesn't matter the size, they're going to be cut down anyways, of a 1/2 inch window sheets. So I have 3 different sizes here. One's a little longer than the other 2. I'm leaving this piece around it so I do not lose them on my table because that would be something I would do. So I'm going to put that there. So now let's start putting this card together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some scoring. I find the easiest way to score these is to score the first one away, and I'm just doing fingers. So I scored that first one away from me. Then to start the second one with your hands a little bit. It's, once you start it, because they are smaller, see how I'm starting it? Once you start that, it will just naturally want to go in the position that you have already. It takes a minute, but it's thick cardstock. This is one reason why you want to use the thick, not only because we're using it as a mechanism, but it has a little more play than if you had the thin, because it would probably try to score elsewhere and not in these tiny little spots. And you can score these down with your bone folder so that they're nice and crisp, and make sure they're lined up when you do it. And then put this one. Once you do it, I wouldn't push them down until you get the first, till you do it first with your fingers. And then you can do that. So we have that little lip. And you want that. That's why they're so close together, is because you're going to be putting your stuff inside here. Your little project or whatever. And then we're going to do the next one. And there we go. And this, I'm just going to finger press some of these. So you want that little bit of a edge there. Okay. And they just kind of naturally want to do their own, like, because it's scored on one side already. And that's what's kind of cool about it. Okay, so now we have this. And this is what it'll end up coming down and looking like, okay? So now what we're going to do is we can add on this piece here, we're going to add our 5 1/4 by 4 piece of Rail Red. And I'm putting this right in here. And I'm lining it up on the sides. I'm not worried about the top. I want the measurements equal on each side and the bottom. So just like that. All right, now we're going to set that piece aside. Now we're going to bring in the 2 pieces that we scored on each end, and we're going to score that like so. We're going to score this one just like so. Okay, so now we have these 2 pieces, and what we're going to do is we're going to add our Designer Series paper right now. So this piece here, we're going to add the Designer paper up there. Okay, and then we are going to now, we're going to take our window sheets that we have here. And how I did this is I took the longer window sheet and I took some score tape, and I'm going to put some on the both sides of this at the bottom of each one of these. Like that. Then I've got one that's a little taller here, and I'm going to use that one first. So then we're going to take our pokey tool, and I'm going to remove the sticky stuff on one side. And how I decided where I wanted this on here was I put my mailbox right here. I didn't want my mailbox going off the edge on this side. So I put my mailbox right here, and I just stuck this down right like that so you couldn't see the sticky tape. So that's how I did that one. All right. Then we're going to peel off the back sides of this one. And again, how I determined where I wanted my other 2, I put my mailbox back in here. I knew I wanted one right about here where the mailbox opens, so I just put one right there. And then I just wanted the other one just a little bit away from it on the other side. So I put the other one right on the other side of it. So I just have 3 pieces of window sheet. I don't know if that's showing up. Of window sheet, just like that. And I used the mailbox to help me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to remove these pieces here. Okay. Take some of your liquid glue . And you're going to put liquid glue all along this thing. Now the reason why you put tear and tape on both sides is because the liquid glue would just make that smear. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take this, and you're going to line them up. Make sure they're good and lined up. I usually put my mat underneath, and I didn't do it this time, just so that if any glue oozes out, it's not getting on my mat or anything underneath. And just make sure it's all lined up, and that looks good. So there we have that. And now we're going to bring in our mechanism. And we're going to, well, first, before we put the mechanism in, we're going to add our bee paper. So I want the bee paper right here. So let's add that. We're going to just center this on here. There we go. And now we're going to bring in our mechanism. And score on all your little score lines, even that one that is kind of weird there. Okay. And this one. Okay. There we go. We got this going like this. So this is going to hook over this on top in the center. You see that little, there's a little bit of a gap in there. That's why we had those two score lines, because you don't want this to be so tight and pushed down that the mechanism won't work. So that's why we put those two itty bitty score marks right there. Okay, so now I'm going to take some liquid glue. I don't want it all the way up in that score mark. I want to have it down here on the bottom, and then I want to have it up here towards the top. I'm staying away from that middle part. And then I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to find my center, and I'm kind of eyeball centering. I'm not. And then I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to hold it. And if any glue squeezes out, like I have a little bit of glue right here, you either want to touch it with some powder or get your little glue glue eraser and erase any glue that you may have. I have a little bit of glue there. I find the easiest way to do it is to take your embossing buddy, maybe some cornstarch or whatever. I just tap my finger on it and I get powder on my finger, and then I just rub it around like this. No one's going to see this. It's a mechanism. It's going to be inside. And then this way you do not have to worry about the glue being, you know, everywhere. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece that we have here, we're going to flip it upside down so the T that we have is facing us now. All right. Now we're going to open this up like so. We're going to take some glue and we're going to put it right here along this, all around the edges, get the corners and everything. We're going to be holding this, hold this steady, flip it around. So now we have it like this. Line this up with just a hair going back from where the T is. So you want a little bit of edge because you want the whole thing hidden. Okay, so tiny, like a fourth of an inch you're going to have showing there. You're going to place it down just like so, placing this down, and then you're going to have your little mechanism here in. Okay, so now if you close this and if you give it a trial run, give it a second to dry. If you close it and you give it a practice run, when you pull this out, it'll pop up just like that. Okay, so this is where I was saying that you do not need that piece of paper. It all depends on where you put how far. Now I might not need that little short piece of paper, but I'm going to put it there because I don't want, if I made this piece, this bigger piece right here, just a tad longer, like a quarter of an inch longer, to have it added on here, it would line up perfectly with my red piece, and then I would have the exact border. But I didn't do that, and I just left it, and so I left it. I'm showing you this the way I would have made it. But if you guys want to, you could add more on here, and then you wouldn't have to have this little piece. I hope that makes sense. If not, just follow the directions the way I'm doing it, and you'll be perfectly fine. So before we go any farther, I want to take and add this piece to the bottom of here. So I'm going to take liquid glue because it'll give me a little wiggle room. So this is our little tiny piece, and all I'm doing is I am lining this up from side to side so I have equal equal parts from here, from the left side, the right side, and the bottom. That's all I'm doing. And I'm putting it right down. So now when this piece is in here, let me get my 2 flabs out of the way. So now when this piece is in here, like so, and it's in there right, when you pull this, it kind of acts like that's where it was supposed to stop. It doesn't have to be there if you don't want it. You could just eliminate it altogether. But I just think it gives it more pleasing look. Okay, now that I'm done with all that, let's get on with the rest of putting this card together. And I'll show you, see how the mechanism is right there? So that's how, when you put it all together, that's kind of what it looks like. So now what we're going to do is we are going to add some scoring tape along here. There's 2 ways you can do this. I found it easier the way I did it than, and I'll show you with another card that I made. With the first one I made. I don't know if you guys have seen these out here, but you want to keep it close to the edge of your white paper here. Okay. So you can do one of 2 things. You could put this down like this and put this on the inside and close it down and make sure it's nice and lined up. The problem I had with that, and I'll show you, is that when you pull this out and this one pops up, this was my other one I made, and this pops up, when you go put it back in, you see how it's not going in as smooth as my original? It's catching on these corners right here, and I did not like that. And now just looking at this, I put my I put my tape on the wrong side. That's okay, I'm just gonna leave it there. Okay, so you want, if you're gonna do it the way I like it, which is on the outside, you want to put your score tape on the inside of these, not on the outside. Now where did I just, oh, it's right here. So you want to put your score tape on the inside of this if you want it on the outside. And you could hide this easily by this little mistake. I'll just cut a piece of paper and put it over top of it. And that's another reason that some people, and I'm keeping them close to the edge, like so. I didn't do it on this side. Because you want to give it that, yeah, I got it close enough, but you want to keep it close to the edge right here, just because you want to give it that little bit of a wiggle room for when it pulls in and out. All right. So on the other side, a lot of people, and this is, I'll show you what you can do, don't like if they put it on the outside. They don't like, now you want to make sure you keep your little box form formed. If, you know, when you scored it and it looks, I call it a box form. You just want to make sure that this white piece here lines up with the first score mark and then press it down. Okay, you can also take and put your bone folder in here and give it a little press like this to help press it down. And then we're going to do the same thing to this side. You're just going to take and you're going to line it up with just the first one. Not any other one, but the first score line. Bring your bone folder in and just press it down. Okay? That gives you something to press it down on. Now, a lot of people don't like to do this because you're left with this on the outside. Now, because I screwed this one up, this doesn't matter to me. I'm okay with that being seen with the little marks on the outside. But because I went ahead and I put this score tape on here, and I'm afraid it might come off in the mail or something, I will put another piece of paper over top of this before I send it to anybody. So now let's finish decorating this card. So we are going to take this one, which is a 4 by 3 1/4, and we want to make sure that I have the right, yes, right here. The whole idea of this card is to make this look continuously. Why do I think I cut this piece wrong? Let me see if I did. Okay, I'm back and I've got the right measurement now. It was 3 7/8 by 4. what you want to do is you want to line this up all the way to the bottom when you put it down so that it matches this here. You're trying to make the card look like one continuous card. So then you just want to make sure this has the equal amount of border. So the 4-inch one is your top, just so you know. Sorry for the confusion on this. I hope I'm not making this card seem way complicated, because it's really not a hard card. Okay, so now we've got that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in our piece of Whisper White here. And we are going to go ahead and line this up at the bottom with our piece of DSP. Now, if you're going to do a different project, you don't have to put this on here. You could put a different, you could stamp the whole piece up and all that, but this is just what I was doing. Now I'm going to take some liquid glue and I'm going to add a little bit to the back of my bee. And I'm going to put my bee right here. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to erase this T that we put up here. We're going to bring in a blending brush and Pool Party. And I'm going to use a scrap piece of paper. You don't have to use a scrap piece of paper if you are, if you're using the glass mat. I just want to, so it's easier cleanup for me right now. But you can work right on this glass mat, which I absolutely love. So I'm just dabbing this a little bit, and then I'm going to work off. And I am just putting a little color at the top of this. I just wanted some color up here, so I'm just adding a little bit of blue to the top. Just like that. And that will lighten and look really good when we're all said and done. Okay, so now I have this piece, and I've got my other Pale Papaya 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and we are going to take and we're going to line this piece up when we put adhesive on it, and we're going to put it all the way to the bottom of this paper, so we're only doing the 3 sides equal parts around. Okay, so let's put, if I can hold on to things, let's put some adhesive on the back of this. I think my runner is getting ready to quit here. And then, like I said, we're going to line it all the way up to the bottom here. Like so. Put it down. I got one side a little lower here. It moved on me. You could use liquid glue, which would give you a little more wiggle room. There we go. All right. And now we can attach this piece to the top of the card. Yep, I'm coming to an end. And we're going to put this right here. And I'm lining up this in the sides with the piece that's underneath it, with the pale petal pink that's underneath it. It's just so it looks like one continuous piece of card. See how it looks like one continuous piece there? That's what we want. Now it's time to decorate the inside. So let's pop this up. We're going to go ahead and we are going to bring in our Whisper White piece, and this piece is going to line up with the bottom, having the same, distance around. It's not going to go all the way to the top. It's more to the bottom. All right. I've got to get my other tape runner here. Okay. Okay, I don't need a lot of this. This is our Stampin' Seal Plus, so very little. And then we're going to line this up with the bottom equal parts all the way, if it stops moving, equal parts all the way around, like so. So we've got that now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add our mailbox right here. But if I was just to stick this mailbox on here and go and put it in, it hangs over right there. It's going to stick out when I put it back underneath, and we don't want that. So what I did was I cut off all the grass, just like that. I cut all the grass pieces off. So I cut that much right off it. So I took that off from there. I am going to take and add some of this Stampin' Seal Plus, just a little bit along here. Make sure if I have any pieces sticking out. I'm going to stick this so it's right at the bottom, not on the score log, but close to it, like that. And I'm just going to kind of hold it there with one of my fingers, and I'm going to bring in this, there we go, and I'm going to stick it down. Then all this extra that's sticking off it, I'm just cutting it off. Okay, I just cut it off. So now we need to fussy cut out all these little letters. So I'm going to cut out the little love. Now in this bundle also comes these little hearts and flowers and different things. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to add them to the little envelopes that are here. So now we're going to attach these little envelopes. So I took one envelope, and actually, yeah, I took one envelope here, the very first white envelope, and I ended up cutting part of the envelope off. So I cut it off just like that. So now, got a little piece hanging here still. There we go. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the bottom of this. Oh, I had a little sticky glue. There we go. And I'm going to put it like it's coming out of my mailbox. I'll show you if I can get the best angle of it. See how I just have it right there on the edge so it's coming out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my next flower, or my next envelope, and I'm going to have it an angle coming down like this. So what I end up doing is I take some glue dots. I have this in front. I have the mailbox in the back, and I have my little window sheet in front of my mailbox. So then I'm going to take some glue dots. Oh, and before I attach this one, I did this to myself too. We need to get the grass. We're going to put the grass along here. I'm going from edge to edge. I'm kind of making a little like bend in this, so a little score mark, so I know where to cut it off. And then I'm just going to cut it. I'm going to get some glue. And I'm going to add the glue right to the bottom of this mailbox. I'm just going to kind of hold it here for a second, just so it sticks. Sticks down. Here's. Doesn't take long. Now we'll go back to the other little blue. And I have this one, so it's touching the ground and touching the other little red one right there. So now we're done with that one. So we got to snip off the extra. I put more than I need on here because these were actually from the last one. So it doesn't matter the length, but if you want to use shorter ones, you can. But I give it extra, and then I can always use it on the next card or whatever that I make like this. Then I'm going to take another little pink one, and this time you can just use glue. Add some glue, and I end up putting it right here on the mailbox, just like that, over here, like it blew down and fell this way. No. Okay. And then I'm going to add the last two at the end. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a regular size handheld punch, find the center or eyeball center as I do, and we're going to punch through both of them just like that. Now, Stampin' Up! Does have now, I can't remember the name of the stamp set, I will make sure to add it here on the screen, one that says pull on it. I have had this set for many, many years that says pull, and it has a little arrow with it. So I'm going to use the set I have because I haven't ordered the one. I definitely will because I love the little bundle and the cards that come with it that you can create with it. So I'm just going to have this little arrow right here, and I'm going to say has an arrow coming over here, and then this word is pull, and I'm going to have that right at the end of my arrow, so they know when they're using this set or when they get this card that they are going to pull this ribbon that we're going to put on. So I'm going to take this, it's about 7 inches of ribbon, and I'm going to cut it just like so. I'm folding it in half like this, and then I am going to push it through the loop. I'm going to separate this and put my thread back through it, or so it's kind of like this. So like that. And now, because this will, more pulling on it, it will eventually try to work its way out. So what I did was I took a piece of lemon thread and I cut it off, and I sat this inside here, and I am going to tie a knot around this twice, if I can. There we go. And I'm going to tie a knot around it once, kind of push it up where it's got to go, and then tie again around it one more time. Okay. And I'm going to pull it up, and now I'm just going to cut this at an angle. Cut this one a little bit, and now we can push this in like so. And I waited to do the last 2 envelopes in this so I could do it for placement. I didn't know how high or how low, so I'm going to just glue this one right here. So I'm just going to take some glue, And I'm going to place this right here like that. And then I'm going to take my other one, add some glue, and I'm going to tip it a little bit so that it doesn't go past the little orange or the petal pink paper, this layer. You don't want it to go past the pull-out layer. And then the next thing I did was I took the word love that we stamped out of that set. All these stamps I used were in, except for the pole and the arrow, were in that special, we're in that Sending Love set. And I'm going to put this right here because I took out the word I miss you and I put I love you. You could add more to this. You can do it with flowers, anything. You can recreate this all up. But then you're going to take this and now your recipient's going to get it and they're going to pop it up and you're going to have this here. One thing I did on my very first one, and you could do that with this one, I pulled it out. But do you see how my back piece doesn't pop down? I ended up putting 2 little glue dots there. So it'll just stay on the back of this piece right here. If you want this to stay up, I put a glue dot on this side and a glue dot on that side. So then it just pops up like that. So there's different options. There's different things you can do. There's maybe other people out there, different tutorials that people have done, and you can check them out. And if you don't like to have the flaps on the outside, you could definitely put another piece over top of this so that you will not see these flaps. I find it's better because then it doesn't get caught when I'm trying to, when I put it back, it kept catching unless I pick it up. And your recipient that you give this to might not know that. So that's why I think it's better that they're on the outside. So that is my tutorial for my fun fold pop-up card, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you'll give me a thumbs up. Tell me what you think. Let me know. You can just leave me a B in the emoji or the comments. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.